Volunteers and business owners are busily assessing the damage and beginning the massive clean-up effort. But it will still be weeks before one of the city's main arteries, Coronation Drive, is fully open again.
The water fell quickly, revealing just how devastating these floods have been. There are literally kilometres of destruction. Coronation Drive, one of the main roads into the city, is threatening to slide into the river.
The danger is that we have a landslip around this vicinity, similar to what occurred in 1974, where the riverbank and the edge of Coronation Drive go down into the river.
With hundreds of roads still cut or closed, traffic is at a standstill. The CBD is still a virtual ghost town. Many blocks are still without power. Some employers have told people not to turn up to work. The Eagle Street Pier, Brisbane's answer to Sydney's Darling Harbour, was metres underwater.
It's been pretty substantial. There's over 1.5 foot of mud in here. The bar fridges have actually come up and floated away out of the restaurant, which we never thought would happen. 5,000 businesses were affected. Those that expected the worst on Wednesday night have been slowly moving back in. Some are relieved.
I'm very, very ecstatic, but my heart bleeds for the whole of Queensland, and I want to get out there and help everyone.
The hum of cars has been replaced with the hammer of pumps, moving the underground ocean of water out of city car parks and basements. After 2.5 years of building, the new Rio Tinto headquarters was just 2 weeks away from completion. Now it'll take a week to pump the 30,000 litres of water and mud out of its car park. The heart of the city, the Queen Street Mall, is slowly starting to beat again. Banks, shops and businesses are reopening. Others that narrowly avoided damage are doing all they can to return normality to Brisbane.
Everyone still needs their coffee and we can make it, so why not?
Energex crews have been working around the clock to restore power to 120,000 southeast Queensland homes and businesses. 30,000 homes may be without power for weeks.
As electrical contractors are able to check those homes and certify them as being safe, we'll then slowly restore power.
Public transport should be back in action on Monday and commuters will have a free ride for at least a week.
I say it's not how hard you get here, it's how quick you get back up. So at the end of the day, that's all it is. We can't change what's happened.
And Queensland will need every bit of that steely resolve. Imogen, Brennan, ABC News, Brisbane.
Well, the clean-up is officially underway in Brisbane with heavy machinery and the Army called in to begin clearing the city's roads. Brisbane's Lord Mayor Campbell Newman is warning residents that it could be months before the city's back to normal.
Drive through any flood-affected suburb and it's not a pretty picture. Mud is caking the roads across the city and with most of the water gone, it was time to start getting rid of it. The Brisbane City Council is aiming to get the road system cleared as quickly as possible, and major arterials are high on the priority list.
This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. This is going to take months to do. Certainly the clean-up of these streets is going to take quite a few weeks.
400 soldiers have been called in to help the council's clean-up crews. Homeowners can't call in the National Guard, but they do have people power. In the riverside suburb of Graceville, hundreds met to organise a plan of action to clean up their homes.
We're looking at having, firstly, the steering committee. They'll be involved with administration, planning and coordination at the highest level.
Frustration is beginning to emerge as people struggle without their essential services like electricity.
In the next half hour or so, could we organise something similar for those people who are in dire straits here?
We have just experienced in our local area probably one of the worst tragedies that most of us in our lifetime will experience.
Organisers say today's meeting let residents know that they weren't alone and that grassroots support would be available in the coming weeks and months. Sporting teams are working together to clean up flood-damaged facilities.
We've got a lot of support here, so we're just getting in and getting it done.
There's many willing hands, but cleaning equipment is in demand. Hardware stores across the city are selling out.
Basically, we're running out of stuff, cleaning products. There's no gumboots left in Queensland due to the Woodford Folk Fest.
Council officers are walking the streets advising residents to dump their rubbish on footpaths, but that doesn't include perishable food. The Brisbane City Council will provide special skip bins to cope with the thousands of tonnes of spoilt food. And that's not the only health risk. Authorities are warning mosquitoes will pose a serious threat in the coming weeks.
In the clean-up, if at all possible, they need to get rid of any stagnant water in their environment.
And that will be a mammoth task. But at this stage, Brisbane's drinking water is secure. Tom Forbes, ABC News, Brisbane.
After weeks of isolation, there's a glimmer of hope for flood-stricken central Queensland. Earlier this evening, the Bruce Highway was reopened, allowing supplies to get into Rockhampton. But the task of delivering food across the state still needs a massive effort. The primary food markets in Brisbane are still underwater, and with most stores having run out of fresh fruit and vegetables, they're desperately awaiting more stock.
In the aftermath of the floods, the airlift is underway to feed Queensland. Tonnes of food is arriving in Townsville, with parts of the north still isolated.
If they could get camels across them where they can't get trucks, they would do it.
The mammoth relief effort has become an urgent priority after flooding wiped out the Brisbane markets. 65% of the state's fresh food is usually processed under these roofs.
Retailers across the board are reporting shortages in fresh food and vegetables.
Southern states have come to Queensland's aid, marshalling fresh fruit and non-perishable food to be sent to Queensland by whatever means possible. A supply train has left Adelaide travelling up the centre to Tennant Creek, where its cargo of food will be loaded onto waiting trucks to travel east. A convoy is on its way from Melbourne to Cairns via a route through Bourke. Multiple cargo planes have left Sydney, also bound for Queensland's north.
Nothing approaching this sort of disaster since '74.
The major supermarket chains around the state are battling to stock the shelves, and dozens of shops remain closed.
It will be days in some cases for stores to return to normal, but in other areas and other locations, based on floodwaters, it's going to in fact be a week or so.
For those that did open, there were grateful customers.
We've been very fortunate to get some milk, which was not expected at all, but you're only allowed one bottle per person.
What sort of stuff you got anyway?
Just stuff for the kids, some ice to keep the milk cold, some nappies.
But they're some of the lucky ones. Ongoing fears are held for Queensland's long-term food security. As the tragedy in the Lockyer Valley unfolds, there's acknowledgement the state's salad bowl has been destroyed.
The big effect is going to be out around Laidley, all around that area where, that's been our fruit and veggies, potatoes and all that.
Authorities are hoping food supplies to flood-affected areas will be replenished once roads reopen. And after more than a fortnight, Rockhampton is at last connected to the south by road. More than 40 Sammies were waiting laden with supplies as the Bruce Highway was opened. James Kelly, ABC News, Brisbane.